The Christmas Eve Nightmare. It was December 2022, and my girlfriend Charlotte and I were driving to the Pocono Mountains for a cozy Christmas getaway. We had rented a charming Airbnb that looked straight out of a holiday movie, decked out with Christmas decorations, surrounded by woods, and featuring a hot tub on a big deck. The property was perfect for a festive retreat, and we couldn't wait to relax and enjoy the snowstorm that was forecasted for that night. The drive from the city to the Poconos took about 4 hours. We made good time, stopping at a Family Dollar for snacks and groceries before heading to the Airbnb. As we turned onto the uphill gravel road leading to the property, we were greeted by a clearing in the trees and a picturesque cabin surrounded by woods. The house was even more beautiful in person, with a big deck, a hot tub, and festive decorations like light-up reindeer, a snowman, and candy canes lining the walkway. We unloaded the car and brought everything inside. The interior was just as cozy as we'd hoped, with a Christmas tree in the corner, stockings hung on the walls, and smaller decorations scattered throughout. The place had that warm, welcoming smell of wood, and the stack of logs next to the fireplace added to the rustic charm. There were 3 bedrooms, though we only needed one, so we used the second bedroom for our luggage. After settling in, I did my usual routine, inspecting the fridge, checking the TV for streaming options, and looking out the windows to take in the view. There was an upstairs loft with a pool table and a couple of couches, and a basement that felt more like a utility space than a living area. It was dark and cold, with no furniture, so I didn't spend much time down there. As we were unpacking, there was a knock at the front door. I hurried to answer it and found a man in his late 40s standing there. He was wearing gray sweatpants and a ripped, yellowish-brown jacket. He smiled and introduced himself as Tom, saying he ran the place with his brother. He mentioned that he lived just up the road and told us to let him know if we needed anything. I thanked him, and he walked away. I found it a little odd that he knew I was with my girlfriend, but I figured his brother, Mike, the host, had mentioned it. That evening, we cooked dinner, chicken thighs, broccoli, potatoes, and cornbread, and ate on the couch while watching the Polar Express. The Christmas tree lights gave the room a cozy glow, and it felt like the perfect start to our holiday getaway. After the movie, we decided to try out the hot tub. The snow was falling gently, and the Christmas lights in the yard added to the magical atmosphere. We sat in the hot tub, enjoying the snowfall, until the bubbles suddenly stopped, and everything went silent. That's when we heard it, unmistakable footsteps somewhere on the property. Charlotte and I exchanged worried glances. I suggested calling out to see who was there, but she shook her head, too scared to make a sound. The footsteps moved further away until they were no longer audible. I tried to reassure Charlotte that it was probably a deer, but deep down, I knew it was a person. After the hot tub, we took a shower, but the hot water only lasted for about 2 minutes before turning ice cold. We screamed and jumped out, shivering. I messaged Mike about the issue, and he responded within half an hour, saying it was odd and that he'd send someone to look at the hot water heater the next day. We went to bed, but in the middle of the night, we were jolted awake by aggressive banging on the front door. Charlotte was terrified, shaking me and begging me not to answer it. I agreed, locking the bedroom door for added security. The banging stopped after a few minutes, but we stayed awake for a long time, whispering to each other and trying to make sense of what was happening. The next morning, I messaged Mike again about the knocks at the door. He seemed just as confused as we were and suggested we alert the authorities if it happened again. Not the most reassuring response, but I understood there wasn't much he could do. I went outside to wipe the snow off my Jeep and noticed fresh footprints in the snow. They looped around the house, and I wondered if they were from the person who had banged on the door the night before. As I was inspecting the footprints, I heard footsteps approaching and saw Tom walking toward me. I told him about the hot water heater issue and the knocks at the door, even showing him the footprints. He brushed it off, saying there were strange folk in the area who liked to snoop around at night, but assured us they were harmless. Tom went inside to check the hot water heater, and I messaged Mike to let him know Tom was there. Mike's response sent chills down my spine. "Who's Tom? I don't have a brother." My heart raced as I realized the man who had been helping us wasn't who he claimed to be. I hurried to Charlotte and told her we needed to leave immediately. We packed our bags as quickly and quietly as we could, loading everything into the car in one trip. As I started the engine, I saw Tom approaching the rear of the Jeep in the rearview mirror. I didn't wait to find out what he wanted. I put the car in drive and sped away. Once we were safely on the road, We called Mike and explained everything. He was horrified and said he'd call the police right away. 20 minutes later, he called back to let us know the police had searched the property but found no one. Mike was on his way to the house himself to investigate further. We spent the rest of the day driving around the area, trying to calm our nerves after the terrifying experience. Mike messaged me that night with an update, apologizing for everything and saying he had no idea who Tom was or how he had access to the property. What disturbed me most was realizing that Tom had been watching us the entire time, from the moment we arrived to when we were in the hot tub. He was likely the one who banged on the door in the middle of the night, and I shudder to think what his intentions were. We were lucky to get out when we did. That Christmas getaway turned into a nightmare, and I'll never forget the feeling of being watched by someone I didn't even know. It's a reminder that even in the most idyllic settings, danger can be lurking just out of sight.